Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto was ignored by Kakashi but loved by Anko? The Birth of a New Legend Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Kakashi-sensei, please train me. Naruto demanded loudly, staring at his masked teacher intently. They made an odd duo in the gleaming white hallway of the hospital. Naruto was clad in a bright orange jumpsuit that had seen better days, while Hatake Kakashi wore his customary Junin outfit which was black with olive green flak-jacked every Junin had, but didn't wear. I can't, Naruto, Kakashi replied, his nose still buried in his Ika book of smut. He always read it, always. Why, you're going to train Sasuke, aren't you? The blonde realized angrily. Why can't you train me too? Kakashi finally deigned to look at his student, because you two are going to face completely different opponents. Your opponent will not try his best to kill you, Naruto. Gaara of the Sand will certainly try to kill your teammate and you know Sasuke isn't in the best state right now. But don't worry, I didn't forget you, I have managed to find you a good teacher who will replace me during the next month. He's an elite Junin like me. Who's that Junin? Naruto seemed not so convinced. After all, it wasn't really about what he was taught, as much as it was that he'd be trained by his sensei. Naruto liked Kakashi despite his odd behavior and lazy attitude. His teachings about comradeship and teamwork struck a chord within his own being. Those were the things he craved most in his life. Being Hokage was a dream that would prove he was truly accepted by his comrades. Ebisu spoke as he showed up behind Naruto who looked outraged. The closet perv. Kakashi looked interested. Excuse me, a what? Ebisu caught Naruto in a chokehold and clamped his palm over his mouth to silence the blonde. Nothing. Kakashi, we've met before through Honorable Grandson. Well, that's even better if you two are already acquainted. Kakashi gave them an eye smile and looked at Naruto seriously. Listen to Ebisu, he's a great teacher. You still SCK at basics and your chakra control needs work. Ebisu is the right guy to show you the way. Nay. Naruto glared at the spot Kakashi vacated with a quick shunshin, then at Ebisu. I'm not going to accept you as my sensei, I took you down that day easily enough. Ebisu huffed at the insult, pushing his shades higher arrogantly. I was just toying with you, for Konohamaru's sake. I'm not Junin just for laughs, brat. Oh, yeah, then prove it. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto challenged the older ninja with a few dozen clones that scattered away, him including. Ebisu gave chase right away, creating his own mass of shadow clones. Mitarashi Anko frowned as she was leaning on the wall around the corner, witnessing the whole scene by hearing. She got there by chance, after having her medical exam done. She was actually curious about the Uchiha's condition, considering he had his cursed seal sealed off by Kakashi. She was impressed by the red-eyed kid's strength of will when he managed to resist the seal during his preliminary match. That wasn't a small feat. Not many could resist the call of power that Orochimaru's dark gift produced. She knew all too well from her own experience, and her own seal was even weaker. But the Uchiha was now forgotten, this new development interested her more. So, the great Hatake, those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Kakashi brushed off his most powerful student telling him he had basics and sending him off to train with foppish Ebisu who all knew was more talk than anything else. How loyal. She knew who and what Uzumaki Naruto was. Every adult in Konoha knew, although opinions greatly diverged in interpretation of the facts. To most villagers Naruto was a demon disguised in human form, waiting to get free and finish the job it tried to do 14 years ago. Idiots, all of them. What made Anko feel disgusted with wasn't the idiocy of civilians, they knew shit about sealing arts. Civilians were just frightened assholes. But the shinobi should have known better. Everyone praised the fourth Hokage for defeating the Nine Tails, but at the same time they spat on him by not having faith in his sealing ability. She was a bit angry during the preliminaries when the blonde took on the Inuzuka kid and won. Nobody expected Naruto's win. The brat didn't show much skill in taijutsu, but the sheer amount of hurt he took and kept running was impressive to her in combination with dozens of shadow clones he spammed with no effort. That didn't look like someone who was weak or unskilled. For Kami's sake, guy's moronic clone had less ninja talent than Naruto. And less brains if you asked her. That suicidal use of celestial gates was totally wasted on some piss-poor Chunin exam match. The kid just destroyed his career over one stupid exam battle. He won nothing in the end. All those observations were affirmed after she was told that the brat stood up to her monstrous sensei to protect his teammates. The Uchiha apparently chickened out until the blonde's example emboldened him to fight too. She didn't blame the Uchiha for being scared, he was just a puny genin being bullied by the man feared by most sane ninja regardless of their power. To stand up to Orochimaru took guts, no matter how stupid one was. Orochimaru was just that scary. Kakashi's remark about the kid at basics was an obvious tell on the man's teaching 6 months with him and he couldn't manage to fix some of the kid's obvious weaknesses. What the hell was Kakashi doing with his team all this time then? Apparently not that much, and he had the gall to blame the kid. She smirked at the end of her internal monologue. She might have some fun for today by following the fop and the brat. She could use a good laugh. Anko was frowning as she stared at the dejected-looking blonde form her perching spot in the tree across the glade where the kid was sitting, his legs soaking in the cool creek. She followed the brat for the whole day and actually had a few good laughs at his misadventures with Ebisu. She enjoyed seeing the fop being taken out by Jiraiya's toad. That was so funny she almost let herself being discovered by the white-haired pervert. When the kid managed to make Jiraiya teach him, she couldn't believe the brat's luck. One of the strongest ninja in the world just agreed to take him as an apprentice. The brat didn't realize the significance of signing the toad summoning contract. She discovered that her ex-teacher had placed a blocking seal on the boy during the exam, thus making his chakra out of control and weaker by half. It meant that Naruto passed the exam with only 50% of his capacity and with lousy control of his chakra. Funny how Kakashi didn't know that little fact. Perhaps he was too worried to check on his precious Uchiha to think what Orochimaru could have done to the Kyuubi's host at the same time. A serious lack of foresight, that could have cost the village much. She was now convinced that this meeting with Jiraiya wasn't accidental. You just don't get that man to train you by luck and with a perverted henge. Even if it was really hot looking. The brat couldn't properly summon even if his life depended on it. She watched him as he mastered the water walking with ease, so she knew it wasn't about the amount of chakra he put in each attempt. He just couldn't properly channel it and form the final chakra burst. It just confused her that the Sannin didn't correct his mistakes. They were too obvious. Maybe he wanted the brat to change his method by himself. She was beginning to think that the kid was too stubborn to do it, but then another thought jumped her. What if he really didn't know what was he doing wrong? But that would be impossible. Even a third-year student knew that some jutsu required different molding and release of chakra. She sighed at that. The kid was the most uneducated graduate in Konoha's ninja history. He really didn't know much, just enough to power his way through every obstacle. No wonder he relied on shadow clones so much. His way of jutsu molding was perfect for them. A jutsu that just required a seal, a lot of chakra released in a single burst and little control. A no-brainer. As things in the ninja circles went. No wonder Kakashi didn't try to give him more jutsu, but then he should have been the guy to teach him how to vary it, his chakra molding and output methods. Frankly, the brat was one big surprise. She expected more of him in some things, but didn't get them. Yet she knew that one couldn't just go through all that shit on sheer power. The kid had some neat tricks when he tried to make strategies against the Inuzuka, too bad he wasn't vicious enough to trump on them. That move with hanged clone could have finished the Inuzuka if the brat had enough brains to use something truly nasty. So, the kid had potential to be a real nightmare in the field. He just lacked the knowledge to use his brute power efficiently. He had nice blood too. She liked it a lot. Maybe she could get some real fun out of him. Anko grinned maniacally as she drew her wicked sharp kunai and chucked it at the unaware kid. Naruto sat at the bank of the creek, letting his legs dangle in its cool water. He was frustrated by his day's wasted efforts to summon. What a cool jutsu it was. Except he didn't know how to use it against that Hyuga prick besides the obvious. Even worse, his new sensei was even pervier than Kakashi sensei and didn't seem much of a trainer either. He just peeked at the girls whole day. His sharper than average hearing let him know that a kunai was whizzing towards him through the air and he rolled to his left, ducking 2 more and making a dozen clones instinctively to hide himself in the crowd. He ran for the woods, using more clones to hide his real position. It was a no-brainer. He needed the cover to confront his attacker on equal terms. His clones died quickly, but he got to the SFETY of the shrubs and tress. More clones went to draw the unseen assailant out, but they saw nothing as they died. Naruto turned to run. He wasn't really in the mood to fight someone who could kill his copies as easy as Kakashi-sensei. He was stopped by the solid fist to his jaw which lifted him of the ground. He used Kawarimi to disappear quickly, fearing the finisher at the other end of his flight. Kakashi-sensei was fond of such blitz tactics. He found himself trapped by several mean-looking pythons who were restricting his limbs, pinning him to a tree trunk. He paled when that crazy examiner chick sashayed towards him, obviously up to something painful. He closed his eyes when she came close, only to shudder in surprise when she licked his lower lip to on the blood trickling from it. Just as I remember, your blood is sweet. How are you, kiddo? I'm freaking out, you psycho. Naruto glared at the woman, hating her for making him feel scared. Great, as I expected. Now, I'm going to let my pretties go away and you'll walk with me back to the glade. If you try to run from me, I'll really make you bleed proper. Got that, brat? Anko smiled predatorily, giving Naruto a clean look at her cleavage. Naruto nodded, ignoring her assets. Anko hid her disappointment. She liked when boys ogled her. It made it easier to bait them and have fun at their expense. She walked behind him, to make him edgier than he already was. They stood opposite of each other, one confidently smirking and in control, the other looking unsure of his situation. What do you want with me? Naruto asked, feeling suspicious of the crazy trenchcoat girl. Name's Anko kid, so use it. Anko scowled, making the boy step back. Okay, Anko-san. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, the next Hokage. Remember it? Naruto suddenly grinned with confidence. Why did you attack me? I haven't done anything to you. Anko grinned. I was just testing your reflexes, that's all. Why? Naruto insisted, like a 5-year-old would. Well, I was trying to see if you were worth the effort. Anko, for what? Naruto blinked, surprised by her cryptic statements. Training. What else? Anko chuckled with amusement. I watched you today and thought you could use someone's help to train better. I got a few good laughs from watching you and that fop Ebisu. He's a nice guy, but not what you need to win your match against that Hyuga. You think I could win? Naruto was surprised. Anko nodded, hiding her pity for the kid who obviously lacked any consistent support in his career so far. Even she had better than him, by Orochimaru of all people. You've got the power in spades. You just need to learn how to use it effectively. I think I could help you with that. And your taijutsu could use some improvement, which I can definitively help with. What can you teach me? Naruto was curious now. Anko smirked and quickly summoned a large snake, big enough to swallow a grown man. Naruto stared at her with jaw open wide. See, I can teach you how to summon things as big as Rikun. She dismissed the gigantic reptile. Well, what do you say? Naruto bowed suddenly. Please, train me Anko-sensei. Anko grinned like a cat that got her mouse. I'm willing, but only if you agree to my conditions. I'm listening, Naruto quickly replied, hoping she wouldn't try to make him do illegal stuff. Mizuki taught him something after all. I want your promise to listen to me as I teach. I will not train a guy who refuses my advice. Then, I want to be compensated for my efforts, which means you will pay me for the lessons. I can do the first, but I don't have a lot of money. How can I pay you? Anko leaned closer, almost touching him nose to nose. I don't want the money, I'll get that if you win your match against the Hyuga brat. What I want is very personal, a form of personal thanks from you for my kindness. It's something only you and I will have between us. You will tell nobody about it. What is it? Naruto felt uncomfortable by her tone and look. I'm not going to steal anything or something like that. Relax, it has nothing to do with ninja stuff. Like I said, it's personal. Just between us two. Anko smirked. Or are you too scared of old me? Naruto scowled. You're on. I'll do whatever it takes to win. I'll prove to everyone I'm the best. Deal. Anko laughed suddenly, straightening up. Let's get cracking. Your first lesson on summoning is up. Show me how you do it first. Naruto eagerly went through the motions and summoned, only to get a tadpole again. Damn it, what the hell am I doing wrong? Almost everything, Anko spoke with even tone. The only thing you do properly is your hand signs. Everything else is just wrong. What? But isn't that the point? You make seals in right order, gather chakra and release it. Naruto was bewildered. I mean, it always worked before. Anko shook her head sadly. You're really ignorant of finer points of jutsu making, aren't you? Okay, listen good because this shit will save your life one day. Are you ready? Naruto nodded, staring at her intently. Anko smirked. She liked that look. While what you said is true, there are small variations in how you mold and release your chakra for some jutsu. Just like how it's different to walk on trees from walking on water. Got it. Naruto nodded quickly. Good. Some jutsu only need seals and a simple burst of gathered chakra. Usually those with a few seals, like the Academy Basics and your Kage Bunshin. But summoning is different, much more demanding. You gotta gather your chakra fast as you form the seals, then you have to release it in a continuous stream to pump as much into the summoning array that appears at the end. You've been gathering a lot of chakra for each attempt, but you never funneled it all into the jutsu, most of it just went back into your system. You gotta force feed the summoning, if you like. The same works for most texts involving summoning or written seals, got that? Naruto looked amazed. Whoa, I've never known that. So some jutsu can just go splat like balloons, while others need to be pumped like from a water hose. Something like that, Anko muttered at the analogy, her eyebrow twitching. The kid sure had weird ideas. Okay, let's try again. Naruto shouted and immediately went about summoning again. Anko jumped away, just to be sure she wouldn't get caught in his mess. She went still as the brat poured a huge load of chakra. It was visible in the end. There was a huge bamf sound and a lot of smoke. Anko felt something big arrive. When the smoke vanished, she stared at the huge toad Naruto was standing on. It was easily the size of a house. Anko-sensei, I did it. Yada. Naruto was jumping happily on top of his summon. The toad was dark orange with purple spots. There was armor on its forearms and shins and a large shield at its back. It held a large sword in the left hand, sheathed. You must be that new summoner, the toad rumbled with deep masculine voice. I'm Gurufo, pleased to meet you, kid. I'm glad to have summoned such a great toad too. Name's Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto shouted happily, looking at Gurufo from the ground where he jumped to. Good, good. Anko patted Naruto's shoulder. See, how is that supposed to be done? Nice to meet you too, Gurufo-san. You're teaching the boy? Gurufo asked. Anko nodded. I see. Well, since this is his first successful attempt and quite a good one, I should thank you. Our tadpoles were getting upset already. Sorry. Naruto apologized quickly. It's fine, Gurufo said with smile. Now, I won't be staying long, but I'll give you some advice. We toads are proud creatures and we don't like to be summoned for anything. Call us only if you really need us. Jiraiya should teach you which toads to call and so on. Since you summoned me first, I'll be willing to help you out when you're in trouble. But to get all of us to follow you, you must call our boss and pass his test. Gamabunta is very strict and very hard to summon, so I don't think you're ready for him yet. Is it really so hard to summon a boss? Naruto asked Anko. Yep. It takes a lot of power. I'm still not up to summoning Manda, nor I'm inclined to try. He's nasty as summons go. Anko admitted. He likes human sacrifice. Ugh, that's so wrong. Naruto said with disgust. I'll take my leave now. Stay safe, kid. Gurufo spoke up and vanished in smoke. He was going to have a nice story for the boss. Orochimaru's pupil that trains Jiraiya's newest pupil. How interesting. Naruto turned around to Anko and grinned. Thanks, you're awesome, Anko-sensei. I couldn't have done it without you. Anko smirked at the praise. Damn right, kid. Now, it's the end of our first lesson. Time to pay up. Right. Naruto hesitated, but followed the tall woman as she walked back to the woods. He felt uneasy suddenly as she turned around and leaned into a tree, beckoning him to come closer. He swallowed nervously as she smiled at him, giving him a strange gaze. He'd never seen something like it. Anko licked her lips. Get on your knees, Naruto. What? Naruto was confused. You heard me, kneel before me. Anko demanded. Naruto slowly complied, obviously clueless about what was going to happen soon. She enjoyed it already, the boy was completely innocent. It turned her on, a lot. Her nipples were aching as her excitement grew. She slowly lifted her mini skirt and moved aside her black thong, showing off her ex. Do you know what's this? Naruto stared dumbly. Your girly part. He felt weird suddenly, he just couldn't stop looking at her place. He felt his twitch, just like it always happened when he was thinking about Sakura-chan. He'd always have it go big and hard, then it was a hell till it got limp again. He sometimes messed his pants or sheets after having a vivid daydream of being alone with Sakura-chan, doing things. It wasn't just holding hands and kisses, he just knew he wanted more. It scared him sometimes. Anko laughed, noticing his excitement. His jumpsuit was tight. Aren't you sweet? Yes, this is my womanly part, it's called a. It's wet and achy right now and it needs to be touched by you to make me feel better. It's hurting you. Naruto was surprised. In a way, Anko spoke, licking her lips hungrily. Now be a dear and get yourself closer so you can kiss and lick it for me. I need it. You promised to do me a favor, remember? Naruto looked unsure, this was new for him. But he did promise. So he inched closer, taking a good look of her shaved spot between her legs. He could see a bulging spot at the top of the slit, from where flesh went in narrow line downward, connecting there. It reminded him of lips in a way, what he was seeing. Then the smell hit his nostrils, heavy and sharp, making his heart hammer faster. His member pulsed like a living thing, giving him almost a painful sensation. What should I do, Anko-sensei? Naruto asked, staring at her wet. Good boy, let me get myself more comfortable. Anko replied, quickly removing her panties and placing one leg over his shoulder, guiding his head with her hand closer to her burning chasm. The wetness spread all over her ex as she expertly spread her outer lips with her fingers. She dipped one middle finger deeply into her hole, shuddering in pleasure, and then she offered it to Naruto, dripping with her juices. Taste me, now. Naruto seemed confused still, but he obeyed. He gave her soaked finger a short lick. Weird, it tastes salty, but I can't say what does it remind me of. Anko licked the finger too, it clean like a lollipop. That's the taste of a woman. Did you like my taste? It was nice, Naruto replied. He peered hard in her vagina, curiosity was evident. I saw it's a hole. How deep it is. Anko gave him a look. You have a weird mind, kiddo, but I'll show ya. She pointed up to her lower stomach. It leads right to this place, where my womb is. It's actually not that deep, but pussies can stretch themselves to accommodate for different sizes of men's. Wow, so what do I do? What good does it if I kiss you there? It'll make me feel good, that's what. Anko growled, her frustration getting the better of her. She took his head and forced him to rub his face into her dripping snatch. Now, lick me, lick my cunt till I come. Naruto's muffled response didn't deter her, she made him slobber over her vagina's outer lips. But he didn't seem to get what he was supposed to do. She let go of him and he looked at her angrily. What's wrong with you? I told you I have no idea, what am I supposed to do? Anko scoffed angrily, she was really horny. I can see that, brat. I can't believe that you're so clueless about girls. Do as I say and you'll learn something your future girlfriends will love you for. Geez. Naruto perked at that. Sakura-chan might like this. Weird, but he wanted anything that would make her happy. Anko read his mind easily. So, are you ready to cooperate? Good. Now, first you have to give me a long nice lick with your tongue, all over my. Just nice and slow, to get me all fired up. Then I'll tell you more as we go, okay? Naruto nodded and did as she told him to. He leaned in closer, taking another sniff of her. He found himself liking that heavy scent. It made him shiver, in a good way. He slowly ducked low, hesitatingly extending his tongue, and then he gave her a soft, slow lick upwards. It tasted nice, he decided, and gave her another lick. Then another, this time pressing the flat surface of his tongue harder on her wet hole, moving slowly and trying to taste her as much as he could. He relaxed when she seemed satisfied with his actions, feeling oddly eager to continue with this game. He took a better look at her dark purple snatch, took another deep sniff. It was really nice, the smell and the taste. This time, he used his own hands to keep her wide open and licked again, using the tip of his tongue to focus on her jutting lips, 2 sets of them. He went up and down, slowly and quickly, enjoying it suddenly. He heard Anko groan. She obviously didn't mind what he was doing. Her hand was holding the back of his head, refusing to let him back away. He paused at the entrance in that pink hole, then decided to see what it was like. He plunged his tongue in, hungrily licking the insides. Anyo shuddered suddenly, moaning. Quote exclamation mark. Oh, not that now. Get out of my cunt you brat, you gotta work on my sweet spot first. You'll tongue FCK me later. She pulled his head back, giving him a smile. We'll get to it later, now lick on the outside again and find that bulging spot. Give it your tongue, nice and very gently. As you do that, you can put 2 middle fingers in my cunt in thrusting motions. Understand? Okay, sensei. Naruto agreed and resumed licking her vagina on the outside, lazily making circles and lines with his tongue all over her sensitive flesh, making Anko close her eyes and hiss in pleasure, while rocking her hips in response to his ministrations. His fingers explored her cunt deeply, clumsily, but she still took pleasure in it. When his tongue flickered over her aching, burning, it sent waves of burning sensations up her spine, directly into her brain. Ooh, that's it. Keep licking there, kid, Anko moaned, encouraging Naruto to stay on that spot. He eagerly did so, wanting to please the older woman who gave him so much positive attention. He didn't want her to be disappointed with him. So he dove in with renewed energy and assurance, licking, nibbling and rubbing, sniffing and kissing. He did everything he could think of. Anko was gyrating, moaning, pushing Naruto's head harder in her crotch as the boy's fingers and tongue explored her wet, giving her pulses and waves of pleasure. She stopped giving him instructions, too focused on her own body and sensations rocking her down there. She could feel her orgasm building. Oh, it's coming, brat. Keep licking. Don't you dare stop now. Yes, that's it. Just hit me there. My, yees. Ah, not that. Do it like before. That's it. Roll around my sweet nub. Ta. Ah. I'm coming. Anko jutted her crotch forward, jamming Naruto's face hard in her wet crotch as her orgasm sent her into spasmic finish. Her juices were squirted into Naruto's face and lips. Drink my cum. Drink your sweet sensei's juices. She moaned as the last wave hit her, enjoying the sensation of being lapped and drank from by the kid who never had done it before. Sweet virgins always turned her on the most. Naruto moved away from the relaxed Anko, who was hard, her cheeks flushed. He went to wipe his chin off, but she suddenly dipped her head and gave him a wet, horny French kiss. Her hungry tongue dove in his mouth and throat, then she lascively licked his lips and chin, taking the taste of her own juices. She kissed him some more, enjoying his natural response. Naruto was kissing her back, if clumsily. She took her time, letting him get a feel of what he was supposed to do, their tongues twisting, rubbing and slithering like mating snakes, their saliva and pheromones mixing. She separated them, grinning. He looked dazed. She smirked. He was totally hers from now on. Not bad for the first time, You'll learn all kinds of things from your Anko-sensei, I promise. Naruto looked amazed more than anything else. Do all girls like doing this, sensei? Of course. Those that claim otherwise are just prudes. Women like when men eat their pussies, remember that. Of course, you gotta be more skilled. But I'll teach you all you need to know about pleasuring women with your mouth and fingers. Anko replied, giving him a nice kiss on the forehead. I'd love to learn more. Naruto spoke with eager smile. I have no doubt you do, Anko purred. She dragged up her black panties up and smoothed her miniskirt. Well, that was it for today. We'll meet tomorrow for the next lesson, and payment. Where do we meet? Here, Naruto asked, now standing. His crotch was aching now and he knew it would take more than an hour for his stiffness to go away. Anko looked around, nodding. Why not? It's a good spot. No one comes here often. She restored her attention on Naruto. I have a task for you though. I want you to try and figure out a way to defeat the Hyuga kid on your own. I refuse to do the thinking for you. It's your responsibility to think on how you can win. Okay, seems fair. Naruto grinned. See you tomorrow then. Anko smirked and vanished in the cloud of leaves. Naruto scowled at the easy way out. I so have to learn that jutsu. Jiraiya of the Sannin giggled to himself as he was writing furiously in his notebook about what he had just seen. That Naruto brat was a godsend. A 14-year virgin had just managed to score with a hot crazy Tokubetsu Junin, just like that. It was a wonderful start for his next novel. He sighed. Some guys were just so lucky. He remembered his first time. It was after one nasty mission when he almost bought the farm. He was 15. He was so shaken that Sarutobi-sensei took him to a nice brothel and paid for the best woman to teach him the secrets of. Ah, the good old days. It seemed that he won't be doing that for Naruto. A pity, he already had a special brothel in mind. There was one fine redhead there. Hey, she kind of looked like Naruto's mother. He thought it would make a fine inspiration for an incest story. Still, he went serious there. Anko's course of action took him by surprise. He almost interfered. The woman wasn't known for being gentle or emotionally stable, but so far it went well. Naruto was already old enough to have freely, being 14 already. He was a year older than his classmates, due to failing the graduation exam thrice. Considering the boy's reserves and general skill level, the kid should have passed earlier. Sarutobi-sensei seriously flunked there, not remembering that the kid was a Jinchuriki, which meant chakra control would always be an issue for him. Considering how many clones the kid could spawn, he was way too powerful for kiddie tricks like the stupid base Bunshin. Also, he took time to watch people when Naruto was around. It wasn't good. The street would literally go cold and unwelcoming. It was a miracle that the kid didn't go crazy after so many years of emotional abuse. The signs were crystal clear. The kid craved recognition so much, he was stupidly willing to do anything to get it. Like stealing that scroll, doing pranks and making a fool out of himself. His teammates weren't taking him seriously, and that Pinky girl was extremely arrogant when she believed she was better than Naruto. She was unbelievably lucky. No other host would have let her get away with the abuse she was heaping upon the kid. Naruto had a heart of gold. The lack of normal contact with the people also stunted his psychological and emotional growth, making him behave like a deranged kid of 7 or 8. Although it was good to see he had normal drive of a teenager. He was salvageable, but he'd need a lot of work. He didn't like Kakashi much anymore. The man should have been able to correct some of Naruto's flaws, or at least tried. To throw him into Ebisu's hands, that was irresponsible. You don't give a Jinchuriki into the hands of a man without any knowledge about such people. Kakashi apparently lacked the faith in Naruto's abilities, or unbelievably overestimated the boy's capacity to fix himself. In fact, Jiraiya was betting on the second. Geniuses like Kakashi always had difficulties with normal people. They just couldn't accept that the others might not be as smart as them. It was more likely that Kakashi simply believed that Naruto could power through anything. Or he truly thought that Naruto couldn't win against the Hyuga genius, so he decided to drop him in the favor of the student who was far more endangered. He decided to reserve his judgment after he talked to the kid. Maybe he was just blowing it out of proportions. But he had to give it to Naruto. That kid was tenacious. He liked him. Also, he'd have to check what exactly Naruto knew about jutsu he had and about chakra usage in general. It was apparent that his educating was more than just spotty. To have Anko fix his lapse in judgment humbled him a great deal. He wouldn't be taking that kid on the face value anymore. Naruto wasn't like his parents, despite the obvious similarities he had with them. Naruto was brimming with confidence as he strolled into the training field where Jiraiya was. I can summon now, Arrow Sennin. I know, Jiraiya smirked. A certain toad spoke to me yesterday. I also heard you've got yourself another sensei, some hot babe. You leave Anko sensei alone, pervy old man. Naruto scowled at the white-haired ninja who was wagging his eyebrows at him in a teasing manner. Oh, you're protecting your girlfriend from me. Jiraiya laughed. Maybe you're afraid she'll dump you for me, As if. Naruto snorted, crossing his arms defiantly. Besides, she's just teaching me some stuff, better than some people I know. Jiraiya hid his wince. He smiled instead and patted Naruto's head. That's why I'm still around, Gaki. You're my newest apprentice. Since when? Naruto looked surprised. Jiraiya scowled at him. Since you signed that contract and summoned a toad, got it? Naruto nodded slowly. Okay, But what about Kakashi-sensei? We'll see after the exam, so don't think about that for now. Jiraiya reassured Naruto, but eventually we will have to go on a trip, a training journey if you like. I can't teach you my secrets here, where someone might see us. Those secrets are meant only for you. I suppose it's all right, I can always rejoin my teammates when we get back, right? Jiraiya nodded. That's the spirit. Now, let's discuss your combat strategy against that Hyuga boy. Have you any ideas? Naruto grinned proudly. Watch this. He took a small scroll, unfurled it and unsealed a large piece of circular metal. A shield in fact. He strapped it on his left forearm and took a defensive stance. The gray shield covered his body decently. I saw that big shield on Gurufo's back and I thought it could work against Neji. He can't use his funky deadly fingertaps to attack me anymore, right? Jiraiya stared gobsmacked at the kid, then burst out in loud laughter. He couldn't wait to see the faces of the Hyuga as their prodigy got his handed to him. You just validated my decision to take you as my student. Thanks. Do you really think it could work? Maybe. We should study your plan a bit more, to refine your idea. Just having a shield will not ensure your win. Tell me, why didn't you go with the most obvious solution and decided to say a couple of strong toads to take him out? I did think of that, but it seemed like an overkill. I don't think that the toads would like being summoned to beat up a mere genin. Naruto explained. A good decision. Jiraiya nodded. Summons are usually the last resort in a battle. I still think you should learn to summon some of them, since they can use combo attacks with you. They are also excellent teachers and sparring partners. Okay. Naruto agreed. I've seen Kakashi-sensei use his dogs to trap Zabuza once. I kind of get what you're talking about. Jiraiya nodded with approval. Summons can be used either as extra physical force, much like you use your clones, but they can also throw jutsus of their own which can be combined with yours. Such combo attacks tend to have great devastating effects. I for example use fire techniques along with the oil my toads produce, which makes for some really explosive fire attacks that are difficult to put out. Wow, will I learn those attacks too? Naruto asked with much hope. He always felt jealous of Sasuke's fire jutsu, which were numerous thanks to his clan's hidden scrolls. Sasuke had some really nasty attacks in his repertoire. I'll teach you, if you have the affinity for fire. Actually, let's see what is your elemental affinity. Jiraiya said, giving Naruto a piece of paper. What's this? Naruto asked, observing the paper with confused expression. Jiraiya grinned. That's a special paper which reacts to your chakra in certain ways, thus revealing what element is your chakra best suited for. In short, it will reveal what kind of jutsu you can do best. I thought you can do all jutsu if you know the right seals. Naruto commented. Really? So, why don't you make some ice for me? Jiraiya smirked, seeing Naruto's expression go wide. That's right kiddo, ninja are capable of performing almost every elemental jutsu, but in theory only. The truth is, some types of jutsu are easier to perform than others, while some nigh impossible unless one has a bloodline which enables him to manipulate chakra in certain ways. Ice users like that boy you met had a bloodline which enabled them to control water and air, thus making it easy to make ice out of those two components. Our first Hokage had similar ability, but he mixed water and earth to create wood. It's very rare to see such manipulations, so don't bother with it. Channel some chakra into the paper. Naruto promptly did so and the paper immediately split itself in half. Jiraiya smiled. Well kid, you hit a jackpot as elemental affinities go. Wind is one of the most dangerous elements in combat, both close to mid-range, and even long-range in some cases. It suits you, I think. You like to get in close, you have a shitload of chakra and it will help you to produce some really nasty attacks. Cool, so what can wind chakra do? Jiraiya shrugged. Anything you can make it do. Although, the wind chakra is mainly used to cut and pierce things. It can also create large pressure attacks that can smash things to pieces. In Konoha, only 2 guys use wind jutsu. One of them is Sarutobi Asuma, I think you know the guy. Naruto nodded. Why just 2? It's rare for people in our country to have such a talent, most of wind users come from Suna. There is a reason why countries bear names of the elements. Their ninja are mostly users of said elements. Jiraiya explained. How many elements exist? Naruto suddenly asked. It's hard to tell exactly, but there are 5 main elements and many of their sub-elements created by their combination or refined manipulation. 5 main elements are fire, wind, lightning, earth and water. Fire is stronger than all others, except water. Wind can overpower every element, but fire. Lightning can beat earth and water, but is weaker than wind and fire. Earth beats only water, while water can only beat fire. Got that? Naruto had an intense facial expression, he was really focused on learning this stuff. So, I can beat every jutsu except the fire-based ones. That, Sasuke can use fire pretty well. Jiraiya nodded sagely. Wind is weaker than fire, so wind attacks will only make fire attacks stronger. Air feeds fire after all. But wind is better for manipulation in various ways, since it already exists all around you. It takes less chakra and can be used in many devastating ways, unlike fire jutsu which are pretty much limited to being shaped like projectiles and sent from the user's mouth. Fire casters usually must stay immobile to cast their jutsu, while wind users don't have to do so often. Wind is simply more versatile and dangerous if in hands of a skilled knife or sword user. Of course, you saw that girl with a battle fan, so you know how strong wind users can become. I remember. That Tamari girl totally mopped the floor with Tenten. It was kind of cool to see such a strong girl. There, you're getting it. Jiraiya praised Naruto who beamed. I'll find you some jutsu of the wind style, but I'd rather focus on your Chunin exam first. We need to devise a strategy against every opponent you could encounter. I'll give you the basic info on their skills, you will have to figure out how to beat them. Is that fine with you? Naruto grinned. The old man was a great teacher when he put his mind into it. Naruto walked in the same clearing where he met Anko yesterday, feeling smug about his chance to impress the crazy, horny lady. He got a shock instead. Anko was standing on the surface of the water Stark. She was doing some taijutsu moves, which did interesting things to her. Naruto groaned internally as he felt his thing go hard. He was entranced by the woman's beauty, her perfectly proportioned body and deadly grace. She really had no flaws in appearance, she was just that perfect. Naruto suddenly ducked, avoiding a trio of shuriken. One of them grazed his shoulder pretty deep, he winced in pain. He ran away from the next wave of sharp metal stars, zigzagging like a lunatic and creating a batch of clones to distract his unseen assailant. He got a foot in his which sent him flying right into a fist of Anko's. He slammed into the hard ground with a pained groan. He eyed the 2 smirking women, one naked and the other fully clothed, even if said clothing left little to imagination. Ha, you're still an amateur ninja kid. Anko laughed. You fell for that distraction all too easy. You better improve your attention to your surroundings or you won't live long enough to become the Hokage. Her version disappeared in a puff of smoke, revealing it to be a shadow clone. Naruto rubbed his head, blushing in embarrassment. I was really surprised, that's all. I didn't expect such a trick. Anko scoffed. You must improve your alertness, kid. Had I been an enemy, you'd be dead right now. I assure you, many kunoichi use tricks like mine. Many stupid genin or chunin fall for them too, never to rise again. Remember this. Naruto nodded. I will, thanks for the lesson. So, did you figure out a way to beat the Hyuga? Naruto grinned and showed her the same thing he showed Jiraiya. Anko laughed too, already figuring out his strategy. Nice one kid, nice. You're not as stupid as you appear to be. I like how you think. What did Jiraiya-sama say? He told me I did well and suggested some changes to my original plan. Naruto replied. Let me guess, you planned on mobbing the guy with your clones, relying on the shield to protect you and them. It's pretty straightforward, don't you think? Anko spoke, now serious. Naruto looked embarrassed. I suppose, I just don't have that many options to use. I could throw weapons at him, but I don't think it would work. That girl on his team is way better than me and he's still stronger than her. I don't know any other jutsu besides Shadow Clone and I don't know all about Neji's skills either, except that he can see chakra and can beat me with finger taps. Anko kept impassive facade, but internally she was planning to skewer Kakashi's balls and feed them to him. Hypothetically of course, the man was a fellow ninja and stronger than her to boot. It just pissed her off to see such a powerhouse being wasted on just one kinjutsu. Shadow clones were very useful, but limited in their way. The prickly Uchiha brat possessed more techniques and his chakra capacity was puny in comparison to Naruto's. It actually amazed her that Kakashi allowed the Uchiha to be the jutsu guy on the team when he had Naruto who had taijutsu and genjutsu. Sasuke should have been the team's generalist, Naruto the jutsu spammer with moderate taijutsu, and the girl could have become their medic and genjutsu specialist. She could think of only one thing for Kakashi's reasoning to leave them as they were. He was expecting them to act like that due to their natural leanings for such roles. Except that Naruto simply didn't know anything besides Kage Bunshin, so Sasuke took over with his wider repertoire of fire-based attacks. The girl had no techniques besides basics yet. Was it possible that Kakashi was forcing Naruto to stop relying on jutsu? Only Kami could tell, since the masked Junin never answered to no one. Personally, she was betting on the fact that Kakashi was just that lazy and a firm supporter of learning by experience. Meaning, he was subtly allowing his kids to see their true roles on the team. Anko wasn't against that, except that subtlety was lost on most kids that age. You can't expect a bunch of brats to be so smart on their own, which is why Kakashi's teaching method wasn't working. The Uchiha was too jealous of Naruto's power to recognize it and help his teammate by teching him a few jutsu his clan copied over the years. Naruto was too proud to even ask, while the girl showed no desire to mar her elegant appearance with hard work. Sweat was for men only in her view of the world. She saw her occasionally. The girl never trained outside team exercises. In short, their teamwork was shoddy at best. And Naruto wasn't at fault. She saw him a few times in the past as he tried to bring his teammates for lunch or something. He was so loud it was hard to miss it. They never accepted his offers. In fact, Anko suspected that Team 7 didn't function when they were free from their duties. They probably only spent time together when training under Kakashi or during the missions. Anko-sensei, can you teach me more jutsu? Naruto asked, his eyes filled with hope. Of course brat, I'll even show you a way to master them quickly. Anko instantly agreed, hiding her glee at the fact she had a student who could use Kage Bunshin for the whole day. Have you noticed that you can remember what happens to your clones as if it happened to you? Nope. Naruto shook his head. I always make so many, it's all a mess in the end. Anko sighed, she should have expected it. Well, it's true. That's why you can use them to master jutsu faster. For example, how long it took you to master the tree walking? A week. Naruto answered promptly, grinning at the memory. I was just as good as Sasuke. Anko nodded, so she was right. His chakra control was not as bad as everyone was believing. He had tons of chakra, much more than Sasuke, and yet he managed the same training in the same time period. That's great. Now, had you used 7 shadow clones to do the same training, you'd have done it in one day. Do you get it? Naruto looked at her, his jaw was slack. Are you telling me that I had that skill this whole time and Kakashi-sensei didn't tell me? Anko shrugged, it probably slipped his mind. That kind of learning is quite dangerous, you know. The memory overload can fry your brains. We'll take it slow, until we learn how many clones you can stand without getting a headache. Naruto nodded quickly, grinning like a loon. He would finally start training seriously. Anko saw it and agreed. But first things first, what exactly do you know about the Hyuga fighting style? Naruto was fast to answer this time. I learned a lot about all of my potential opponents from Ero Sennin. Neji can see all around himself and through things, including my chakra coils and tenketsu. It means I can't try to sneak up on him or to use a hidden weapon. His style is to come up close and use his fingertips to close my tenketsu or to disrupt the flow of chakra in my body. He can kill if he hits the right spot, like when he attacked Hinata-chan. Which means you can't let him hit you. Anko concluded for him. The shield is an outdated piece of equipment for shinobi. I think you'll be able to surprise him a great deal. But you have to learn how to fight with the shield in order to win. I'll help you with it. I will play Neji for you, trying to bypass your defensive movement. He will try with weapons and tricks to force you to drop your guard to use his fingertips, as you put it, on you. Sounds great. Naruto smiled. Anko smiled too, noticing how much softer this smile seemed as opposed to his wide grins and closed or narrowed eyes. She begun to suspect he faked his cheerful mood a lot. Considering what the villagers were doing to him all this time, it wasn't really a surprise. When faced with adversity, people found different ways to cope. She became aggressive, violent and scary. Naruto became a cheerful, boasting kid who lacked common sense. In short, he became funny, harmless-looking kid. That Hyuga girl became submissive, reluctant to harm others because of her low self-esteem. Kakashi, for all his power, became a victim of his losses. Now he was a porn-reading addict with punctuality problems, and he spent hours brooding before the gravestone where all the people he cared for had their names written on. Talk about being stuck in the past. It was nice to know she could get him to smile for real. It meant he trusted her enough to relax visibly. What about the Sand Kids? Anko prodded Naruto further. Naruto frowned. They could be a problem. That chick Tamari can simply blast me away with her wind attacks. I'd have to either use fire or speed to get around her defenses. Or stronger wind jutsu, because I'm wind-natured too. You're wind-natured. Anko raised her eyebrows in appreciation. That's rare here. I know only 2 guys in our village with wind-natured chakra. Yeah, Jiraiya-sensei told me about Asuma-sensei. I don't know the second guy though. Naruto spoke. Anko gave him a sharp look. Don't even think about looking for the other guy, because he's bad news for you. His name is Shimura Danzo. He was once a candidate for the position of the Sandaime Hokage, until Sarutobi-sama was chosen. He was also a student of the Nadaime. So, how is he bad for me? He is a man who seeks and respects only strength and power. In higher ranks, Danzo is also known as Warhawk, for his militaristic outlook on life. In his eyes, all ninja are tools that should not have any feelings and are supposed to be utterly devoted to serving their leaders. He had been extremely interested in getting you into his special training program meant to turn you into a perfect weapon of mass destruction. You should thank Hokage for stopping that nonsense, because otherwise you'd be like a living puppet, without emotion, living only to obey the orders from your superiors. Is he the guy with bandages around his head and carries a cane? Naruto suddenly asked, his eyes narrowing into slits. Anko realized that was the sign he was either faking something or was really unhappy. She nodded. Naruto scowled hard. I remember him from before the academy. He used to give me really creepy looks with one eye. The old man Hokage warned me against him. I was never left with him alone whenever I was in the old man's office. Is he really that strong? Anko shrugged. Hard to tell, to be honest. He used to lead a special branch of Anbu a long time ago. Rumors say it still exists, somehow. Like I said, he was once a potential Hokage. That means he was powerful, but now he's considered a cripple due to serious injuries. But I wouldn't bank on it. Guys like him always have an ace in their sleeve. Stay away from him and consider yourself happy. I understand, Naruto smiled. Now, what about the other 2 from Suna? That Konkuro guy uses puppets. Jiraiya-sensei said I could beat him with my clones, as long as I avoid his puppets, which can be fitted with many weapons and poisons. Gaara is like me, a host of the Biju. Aikibi in his case. Sensei said he'll help me learn how to deal with him, if the need arose. Interesting. Jiraiya-sama is surely thorough. Well, I suppose we can start with your real training, kid. Make 20 Kage Bunshin and I'll show them a fire jutsu, just to see how well you can do it. I think your Uchiha friend uses it often. It's the Grand Fireball. Yes. Can you show me the Shunshin too? Naruto looked like it was his birthday and he actually got presents from his friends. I can, but why would you want it? It's not useful in real combat, unless you've got some special skill to use it so. Naruto gave her his best puppy eyes expression. Come on, I just hate to walk all over the village to get stuff or to move from place to place. For example, wouldn't it be so cool to have my clones buy us food while we rest? Anko chuckled. You know, that's not such a bad idea. You won't be harmed by the chakra loss and you actually can pull it off. Fine, I'll teach you that one too. Thank you, thank you. Naruto bowed deeply. Anko smirked, already knowing he'd be thanking her anyway. Sandaime Hokage leaned back in his rocking chair, enjoying the evening's rest he earned after a long day at the office. He had his pipe smoking, a glass of imported sake in hand, and he enjoyed the starry vista above him. He felt old, he was old. He longed for a replacement again, Yet he hesitated to leave his position in fear of giving his hat to a man unworthy of it. It was a tragedy that Minato had to die so young, so brilliant. Of Minato's generation, none were good enough. Of the younger ones, only Kakashi came close, but not enough yet. He lacked raw power his sensei and other Kages had. Yet he had that brilliant mind which won him many battles. But like his own students, Kakashi lacked the true desire to be the Hokage. His mind drifted onto Naruto. Young, so strong and passionate, if only he were older, so he could truly guess at his capacity for leadership. He was getting impatient in his old age. He could wait a few more years to see if Naruto was the one. He had a feeling he was. He sensed a hidden tremor in his security grid, a familiar one, so he smiled. So, you're back home, Jiraiya. Jiraiya grinned ruefully under his invisibility jutsu. Damn you, sensei, you're still as cagey as always. I suppose, so why this hiding stuff? I don't want anyone to know I'm here, not yet. Orochimaru has made an appearance finally. Sarutobi nodded. He has come for young Sasuke. Jiraiya snorted. He's welcome to the brat. Personally I could never stomach that were a bunch of arrogant assholes. Now, not all of them were so bad, Sarutobi chided his pupil. Maybe. Every family has its black sheep. Jiraiya joked. Uchiha Obito certainly wasn't of the norm for them. Makoto-san too, until she got married to that Fugaku creep. I swear, Kushina cried as if she died when the wedding happened. Sarutobi chuckled, inwardly feeling hollowness where his heart was. What happened to the Uchiha was also in part his fault, because he wasn't strong enough to put a stop to all the nonsense that happened before their demise. What do you think of Naruto? Sarutobi asked, knowing that the boy was the real reason for Jiraiya's arrival. I like him, he's tenacious and clever. I think you will have to promote him regardless of the outcome of his match against the Hyuga. I swear, he doesn't think like the rest of his peers. He has a wild and creative streak in his planning. Jiraiya actually beamed with pride. The brat's a bit too, but that will pass soon enough. He can actually summon some big-sized toads already. He'll be great someday, better than me I think. I think so too, Sarutobi nodded, drinking from his glass. He is very powerful for his age, as expected. He had problems in the academy, but that wasn't entirely his fault. I wanted to give him a special training, but I feared Danzo's involvement. HMPH, I should have guessed. Well, Naruto is a little behind on some things, but that can be solved with intense training. He has shown some good instincts. Jiraiya replied from his spot. So, why did you put him on the same team as the Uchiha and that fangirl? From what I heard, they aren't really that friendly with each other. And is it really true that Kakashi took them on a ranked mission when they haven't even mastered the tree walking? For your information, I had to teach him water walking and I had to remove Orochimaru's 5-point seal from his navel, which was messing with his chakra control. Sarutobi straightened in his seat. What? Naruto had his chakra disrupted during the exam. No wonder he gave such a weak fight during the preliminaries. What was Kakashi thinking? He was too worried for his other student, and Naruto told me he didn't even ask if Orochimaru did something to him. It never even occurred to the Cyclops that our resident Jinchuriki might have been tampered with. He should have known better. Jiraiya sounded angry now. Did you know that Kakashi took the Uchiha with him for training and fenced Naruto off to Ebisu for remedial training since he's still at chakra control? He was probably more worried for Sasuke who has received Orochimaru's seal. He's most likely trying to contain the damage. It does make sense, in a way. In the long term it's better to keep Sasuke loyal at the cost of Naruto's promotion. Chunin exams happen every 6 months, so it's not such a big deal if the boy loses. It might even do him some good to experience defeat, it will only make him stronger. Sarutobi tried to find an excuse for Kakashi. Well, I disagree. Naruto has had enough problems in his life, he doesn't need more putdowns and betrayals of trust. You can tell Kakashi that the boy's mine now and he doesn't have to lift a finger to teach him anything. He had his chance and blew it. Minato had never placed one student before another, neither did I. If Kakashi adores the Uchiha so much, he can have him all to himself. Now Jiraiya, let's not be so hasty. Sarutobi tried to calm down his student, but Jiraiya wouldn't have it. No, I spoke my mind and you know I'm entitled to teach Naruto, no matter what you or the council try to pull off. He's my godson and that's the end of the discussion. Familial rights are above all, you know it. Some people might challenge your connection to Naruto, Sarutobi had to warn him. Then I'll call Tsunade. She will jump at the chance to stick it to the council or Danzo. She actually is his cousin and that can't be disputed. Give me Naruto quietly, don't be so stubborn. You know he'll be better off with me. Jiraiya argued quite well, knowing his sensei's weakness for the Senju princess. Orochimaru may have been his favorite, but Tsunade was the one whom Sarutobi could never refuse if possible. Which is why nobody dared to question Tsunade's long absence from Konoha. Fine, but stay under radar for a while so I can spring you on them by surprise. Jiraiya grinned. Now we're talking, sensei. How are you preparing him anyway? Sarutobi asked Jiraiya curiously. It must be nostalgic to have a student to occupy your time so much. Are you missing your research? Jiraiya chuckled in response. No, I'm actually already starting a new book, all thanks to the kid. What? Sarutobi asked, feeling confused. Did you know he has another teacher? Who? A certain Tokubetsu Junin with penchant for see-through clothes, blood and violence. Jiraiya explained. Anko. Why would she train him? Well, he's giving her a lot of orals so I suppose it's a pretty good reason. Jiraiya grinned. Can you believe that? Sarutobi scowled. I swear, that girl has lost all her marbles. I'll put a stop to that immediately. He's too innocent for her. Oh, come on. Jiraiya waved his concerns away. I'm watching them all the time. She hasn't done anything he didn't like, trust me. He has perfectly normal drive, like any kid his age. She's just having her fun with him, you know she likes them young and innocent. Sarutobi nodded. It was Anko's fetish of sorts. A sort of her therapy for her issues with Orochimaru who abandoned her after corrupting her with his experimental seal. It was tolerated as long as she didn't hurt anyone seriously. Be realistic sensei, Jiraiya interrupted Sarutobi's musings. The kid is hated in Konoha. He is lucky to score with Anko, because most girls think he's evil or something like it thanks to their parents' lies about him. His chances of getting laid here are almost zero. I think he will have to marry some outsider girl. No family here will want him, the demon boy, no matter what he does for the village in the future. Sarutobi sighed sadly at that. I hope you're wrong Jiraiya, I really do. Me too, Jiraiya replied. It was clear he didn't hold much hope in the end. Tell me what did you learn about those people, these Akatsuki members? Sarutobi asked in the end, knowing that some things always had precedence over others. Naruto slowly walked up the stairs leading to the floor where his apartment was. He had his hand in the pockets of his pants, he looked dirty and his jumpsuit had tears and holes. Yet he didn't look tired at all, nor he had any injuries. He was happy though, his training with Ero Sennin and Anko Sensei was amazing. Hard and challenging too, but he loved it anyway. He was learning various ways to beat Neji and others, although he still preferred his original idea. Anko Sensei drilled him mercilessly through the week, always doing her best to expose his mistakes and weaknesses. He was quickly being disabused of the notion that girls were weaker, because Anko took him apart every day with ease. He was forced to become faster by sheer fright. She didn't believe in soft contact and such stuff. With her it was always a bloody fight to keep his limbs attached or to not get too badly stabbed or burned. He was also less talkative during their training sessions. Anko was very vicious when he broke her rule and boasted during their spars. She'd beat him worse than usual for every mistake. He learned to keep quiet, to keep his temper in check lest he ended blue all over his body. He may be a quick healer, but the pain was far from pleasant. He had gotten to adore his clones, they learned stuff so fast while he got to train physically. It just couldn't get better than that. Naruto. Ayame spoke to him and he looked up at her. She was standing before his apartment with bags in her hands. Ayame-chan, what are you doing here? Naruto was very surprised to see the older girl. Ayame was a pretty girl with straight light brown hair and eyes. She was still a little taller than him, which was expected since she was 18 years old. Ayame smiled, lifting the bags. I brought you dinner, since you've been working so hard. Dad and I decided to support you this way. Awesome. Naruto grinned and he opened the door for entered his apartment and he closed the door and locked it. Naruto's apartment was very small, as was usual for single men. It was composed of 2 rooms, one was a living room combined with kitchen, while the second room was his bathroom with toilet and shower. Ayame moved her stuff on the small working space which was for cooking, washing and where cupboards for kitchen supplies were placed. She immediately went to prepare dinner. "Do you need my help, Ayame-chan?" Naruto asked, eager to help. "No, you should go and wash yourself, you stinky boy." Ayame teased. Naruto mock growled, but listened to her suggestion. He did stink and he needed to take a shower. He went in the bathroom and took off his clothes and immediately went under the shower, eager to clean himself. The water was nice on his skin, he took his time to wash up. He rinsed his smooth, scarless skin and chuckled at its appearance. No matter what happened to him, his wounds always healed so fast and so well that nobody could tell if had ever been hurt in his life. He had been, too many times to count. It was ironic. "Are you finished?" Ayame called out to him through the door. "Almost. Just wait a few seconds." Naruto replied and went to dry himself so he could wear clothes. He also didn't want to wait for the dinner any longer. Ah, this was great. Naruto patted his stomach, leaning back in his chair with a smile. The plates before him and Ayame were empty, their dinner gone. Ayame giggled, her eyes shining with fondness. "I'm glad you liked my cooking, now will you help me wash the dishes?" Naruto was instantly on his feet. "Of course I will, that's the least I can do for you." Ayame nodded and started to gather the plates, glasses and pots with his help. They soon had all of those transferred to the sink. And so they started working alongside each other, with Ayame doing the washing while Naruto dried the stuff she handed him with a rag. Unfortunately, Naruto couldn't help but look at the girl next to him as she hummed a happy tune and swung her hips lightly, bumping into his own. He instinctively looked down on her hips, noticing how nice they looked. Naturally, his eyes went lower and drank in the sight of her long, smooth legs. He swallowed. Suddenly it didn't seem such a good idea to be near Ayame. He froze as his thing got hard again, giving his short pants a sizable bump at the front. He edged away from her in the attempt to hide his current state of arousal, cursing his body for betraying him again. He actually had more problems like that since he met Anko-sensei. Now when he saw a woman, he immediately flashed back to the things he did with Anko and it was driving him nuts. Also, Anko always insisted on the payments, leaving him with terrible hard-ons every time, and it took him a while to relax again. His pants and sheets got messed up every night nowadays. To his mortification, Ayame noticed his action and turned to look at him, immediately seeing what was wrong. She stared open-mouthed at his telling bulge for a few seconds, then started giggling. My, Naruto, are you really that happy to see me?" she asked. Naruto went beet red in face, instinctively turning around to hide his embarrassment. "I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to react this way." "Oh, Naruto." Ayame approached him and placed her hands on his shoulders. He stiffened as she guided him towards the table. He sat in the chair and she did the same. Ayame lifted his chin gently to make him look at her square in the eyes. "I'm not mad at you, I was just amused. There's nothing wrong with your reaction, you are a teenage boy after all." It's getting really hard to control my reactions," Naruto admitted shamefully, fidgeting slightly in his seat. "I mean, it's now like that whenever I look at a girl or a woman. I don't know why am I like this." There, tell your big sis what's troubling you. I promise to listen and I'll help you any way I can." "You know that," Ayame urged the blonde boy, patting his hand with hers in reassuring gesture. Naruto looked at her gratefully, then started to spill his guts to her. He told her everything about his changes, his desires and of his payments to Anko. Ayame listened silently, sometimes secretly amused at his naivete and sometimes angry at the crazy kunoichi who used Naruto so shamelessly. After he was done, Ayame gave him a sympathetic squeeze of hand and smile. "Naruto, I keep forgetting how socially inept you are at times. It's obvious you're going through the puberty, only nobody bothered to explain you these things you were experiencing for the last year or so. I suppose I will have to give you the talk." "The talk?" Naruto was confused. "Yes, it's a conversation where adults explain to the children what's happening to them when they get into their puberty phase." Ayame patiently explained to Naruto. What's this puberty you're speaking of? I missed a lot of classes in the academy. Did they cover it in one of those? Most likely, Ayame answered. Now, the puberty is a phase all kids have to go through in order to become adults. Boys get taller, stronger, their voices become deeper and they start noticing pretty girls and getting erections often. Just like it's been happening with you. It's normal then. Naruto sounded relieved. Oh, yes, it's expected. Had you been lacking such reactions, then we'd have to be worried. So don't be ashamed, you're just growing into a real man you were always supposed to become. Ayame smiled gently. Girls go through it too. Yes, but with us it starts sooner. That's why your classmates who are girls have already become interested in boys. Some already have bigger chest and hips, and have certain reactions you don't need to know about. Ayame explained, believing he wouldn't appreciate being told about monthly bleeding periods. Guy were squeamish that way. What about my night leaks, when my pants or sheets get messy? I know it's not peeing. Naruto looked troubled. Ayame chuckled, that's pretty normal too. You were having your nighttime pollutions, I mean to say you were ejaculating in sleep. Seeing his face, she realized he knew squat about his organs and their purpose. Look, that means you're ready to make babies in short. Babies. Naruto was alarmed. I'm not ready for that yet. Ha, ha, ha. Ayame laughed. Relax, it's not that easy. To make a baby you also need a woman, like your Anko sensei. In the simplest way to explain, you need to have with a woman to make a baby. That's what puberty is for. It makes you ready for with girls so that you can have kids one day. Really? Naruto was surprised. Yes, it's our inborn instinct to want sex when we grow up. The nature made us that way to ensure we would reproduce and multiply. I went through my puberty too and I'm telling you it's nothing to be ashamed or afraid of. Naruto looked at Ayame curiously. Did you have sex with someone already? Ayame smirked. Now, that's a very private subject. Sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. Naruto apologized quickly. I know, so don't worry. And yes, I've had sex a few times. It was great, Ayame informed Naruto, enjoying his blushing embarrassment. Truth was, Ayame was quite fond of sex and enjoyed it very much when she found the right partner. Oh, so that's why Anko sensei likes it too. I still don't get how am I supposed to enjoy it, since all I do is, you know. Naruto commented, causing Ayame to sigh. You're not enjoying it, because you haven't had sex for real with her. What you were doing to her is properly called oral sex, where a guy gives a woman pleasure with his mouth and tongue. She moans and cries a lot when you lick her down there, doesn't she? Ayame asked at the end. Yes, Naruto nodded, blushing again. Ayame nodded. It's a good skill to have. Girls like when guys lick them down there. It can be very pleasurable for us. Your Anko sensei is selfish though. She isn't giving you anything in return when you're done. What do you mean? She is a great sensei. I'm learning awesome stuff from her. Naruto asked, feeling confused. I'm not talking about ninja lessons, Ayame shook her head. What I'm saying is that she receives actual pleasure from you and leaves you all excited and horny, and you're clearly getting frustrated a lot. Why don't you try masturbating to relieve yourself? What? Ayame stared at him. You must know already how to jack yourself off, it's like instinctive for guys. Haven't you ever heard about it from your friends? Naruto looked down. I don't have many friends, and those that I know have never talked about it with me. I forgot you're older than them, they're not at your level yet. Ayame apologized. Have you tried to talk about it with Iruka-san or your current teacher? Naruto gave her a look. She understood immediately. Naruto wasn't comfortable about such things with people he didn't know as long as he knew her or her father. Iruka came close to that category, but Naruto probably feared that the man would think he was a freak or something. And Naruto was afraid of losing Iruka's friendship. It's not that difficult. Ayame began to explain masturbation to Naruto. Masturbation is just a way of giving yourself the pleasure and relief, instead of having someone else do it to you. For example, you've been doing it to Anko sensei even though she could have pleasured herself. I admit that it's always nicer when someone else helps you, though. But how do guys masturbate? I've never seen a guy do it. Naruto complained, unaware of the Ayame's amusement. He seemed so funny right then, demanding to learn how to masturbate. She thought it was rather cute in some dumb way and decided he really was that dense about some things. Would you like me to teach you? Her question caught him by surprise and he stared at her. You'd do that for me. But I can't ask you, you're not a guy. Ayame laughed, hard. Ha, you're really funny sometimes. If Anko-sensei could teach you how to pleasure her with your fingers and mouth, why do you think you can't be given similar treatment by a girl? It's not the same, but the principle is applicable for both SXES, we can give pleasure to each other in many ways. I used to pleasure some guys I liked, so I know what you need to learn. Oh, Naruto realized. So, can you teach me? Yes. Go for it, kiddo, please don't disappoint me. Jiraiya pumped his fist in the air as he watched the scene unfold through his telescope. Bang that chick for your sensei, please. Ayame paused to think. She was about to say no, politely of course, but then she asked herself, why not? Naruto was a nice guy who really needed her guidance and it was kind of exciting, the idea of teaching a virgin kid about X through practice. It was kinky. All right, she agreed. But you will listen to my instructions and will not talk. I expect you to be very nice, is that understood? Naruto nodded quickly, so she moved from her chair and approached him. She kneeled next to the blonde and smiled. Now, be a good boy and take off your pants and let me see your. Naruto was red in face, but he obeyed. He wiggled in the chair as he removed his pants and undies, allowing Ayame to pull them down off him completely. Ayame licked her lips in appreciation. You have a nice, it's already big enough to satisfy a girl. I'd say about 15 centimeters. Not bad for your age. I bet you're going to be pretty large when you're fully grown. So, it's better to have it big. Oh, yes, of course it's not the most important thing to have. I'd rather have an average-sized guy who has decent skills at SX than the one with huge, but who has no idea how to make me feel good besides thrusting it inside my. That gets boring real fast, you know. Ayame explained, deciding to make sure Naruto learned the proper attitude about SX and women in general. It was her duty to her gender and to Naruto. Well, if it's not enough just say so, I can make my bigger if you like. Naruto informed her smiling brightly, eager to please her any way he could. You can do that. Ayame was surprised. She was also incredulous. Aha. I did it accidentally a year ago. I was trying to imitate Choji's limb enlarging jutsu. I did it wrong and ended up with swelled. It hurt me a lot for a while, but I got used to it. I stopped doing it, because it didn't serve any purpose at the time. Wanna see? By all means, Ayame quickly nodded, eager to see what would happen. Naruto concentrated, making a rat sign, then ram. Suddenly, his twitched and stretched quickly, becoming all veiny and thick. Oh, my. Ayame smiled, reaching to touch the enlarged member. It's twice as thick now and larger by the third of its previous length. Amazing. How long can you keep it this way? Naruto grinned proudly at his sole original jutsu, besides the perverted henge. It was ironic really that a guy who claimed he disliked perversion had actually invented two very perverted jutsu. I can hold it like that as long as I like. Ayame drooled slightly, imagining that thick piece of man-meat buried in her. I'm going to start with the lesson, so pay attention. She gently caressed it with her fingers, enjoying the feel of the warm, pulsing flesh. Then she grasped it in left hand and begun stroking slowly, making Naruto tense. Easy. Just relax, Naruto. It's all under control. She kept stroking his auk, using the other hand to fondle his balls which were heavy with seed. She could imagine the thick stream of white jizz spraying forth from his. Her mouth were already dry with desire and her pulse was quickening. Naruto gave soft whimpers as her strokes increased in speed. She slowed down a little, just to prolong the treatment. She rubbed his head gently, circling with her fingers and kneading the shaft. She resumed stroking, taking care to rub his head's rim each time, knowing how sensitive it was. She could feel the tension in him. You're feeling as if you're about to explode, aren't you? She teased and received a series of deep sighs and moans from the delirious youth. She loved his reaction and begun stroking him harder than ever. Ayame-chan, I'm gonna. Naruto writhed under her ministrations, making her grin with lustful feeling. Come for your Nichan, come for me. Ayame urged Naruto, who thrust his pelvis on instinct upwards and screamed as his sperm blasted out, right into Ayame's horny mouth which were positioned suddenly above his. She lapped up the white liquid hungrily, then looked up to let Naruto see it. So yummy. Naruto widened his eyes in surprise. You drank it. Ayame licked her hand clean, smiling the whole time. I can't explain why, but it's impossible for me to resist the taste of my man's cum. I just have to eat it. Are you disgusted by this? Naruto shook his head. No, it's actually exciting to see. I kind of understand why Anko-sensei wants me to drink her juices now. Hey, that's fine, so I think you understand now what's masturbation. Ayame commented, using a napkin to clean her chin of his semen. She checked her blouse carefully and happily saw it was clean. Sperm was messy. Thank you so much, Naruto gushed, still having problems believing something like this could happen. You're the best, Ayame-chan. Now don't think I do this for every guy, just to those who I like a lot. Ayame explained. You must take care when you ask a girl to do this for you with her mouth or hands. You could have used your mouth for this. Naruto was surprised. Oh, yes, that's called a blowjob. When a hand is used, then it's called a handjob. Got that, Ayame said. It was wonderful, I've never experienced something like this. Thanks so much, Naruto replied, giving her guy-like smile. Now you know what were you doing to your Anko-sensei. And girls actually feel more pleasure than guys. Naruto nodded. Yeah, no wonder she insisted on having me eat her, as she described it. Ayame smirked. You liked my handjob a lot, didn't you? Naruto nodded, so she leaned in her chair and lifted her right leg on the table, showing off her white underwear. She removed her panties, revealing her. Naruto stared like hypnotized. Ayame saw his harden again. Well, how about returning the favor? Show to your Ayame-chan what did you learn from Anko-sensei. Naruto fell on his knees before her, his face filled with amazement. Ni-chan's. He slowly dipped a finger in it, pulling it out slowly. He licked it and sniffed at her. Smells good, really good, but it's slightly different than Anko-sensei's. Ayame licked her lips. Is her smell better? No, just different. Like when beef ramen is different from pork ramen. Naruto explained. Should I start licking it? Please, do it. Ayame sighed. Her cunt was getting hotter by seconds. She trembled as his tongue teased her thighs around her cunt, then slowly circled closer and closer. When he gave her a long, hard lick across her whole snatch, up to her hair, which was nicely trimmed above the in a triangular pattern, she actually felt a minor orgasm, making her leak juice. Naruto licked the liquid, using his tongue to spread it all over her crotch, returning she attention to her sensitive lips. He teased her hard then light, licking every inch of her outer and inner lips, making Ayame crazy. Her was so swollen it actually jumped up like a, ah, please go for the. Ayame moaned. I can't stand it anymore, I'm so hot. She started to gyrate in the chair, rubbing her wantonly. Naruto listened to her and focused his attention on her swollen. He licked the flesh under and around it, spreading her lips wide with his fingers. He started to stimulate the swollen nub, his tongue hitting it gently, then harder. He would slow down, to take it in his mouth to on it. His right hand went lower, so he'd stick his fingers in her cunt. He started to her gently, all the while thrusting 2 fingers in her, pressing hard towards her from within, looking for sensitive nerve endings there. Ayame was going nuts already, moaning like a wild animal. Her were exposed and she was kneading them, pinching her own nipples for extra stimulation. Naruto was totally focused on making her cum. He was thrusting very hard and fast, all the while he prodded her with his tongue which was swirling like tornado. Then he paused, engulfing the small wad of flesh in his mouth and gave it a hard squeeze with his lips. Ayame buckled in the chair. Naruto had to grab her hips to prevent her from falling over. She screamed hard, thrusting her snatch harder into his mouth. He felt her juices spurt on his lips and in his mouth and he eagerly drank, lapping the rest with his tongue. He had come to love the taste of woman's cunt and juices. Ooh, you were so good. Gods, your sensei is one hell of a teacher. Ayame moaned as her orgasm subsided a little, but the electric warmth was still flooding her brain. Go, Naruto, go. Jiraiya cheered his apprentice loudly, uncaring if he was heard. His transparency jutsu was working just fine. Now, give her that of yours. Man, I gotta make him teach me that jutsu. Nobody has ever managed to invent it before. I really got lucky with that brat. You're hard again, Ayame commented when she looked at Naruto. Sorry, it's got a mind of its own. Naruto sheepishly apologized. It's all right. It's good that you can get it up so fast after coming. The more you can have it hard and ready for sex, the better. Girls love men who can FCK them many times and for long periods. With your amazing stamina you will be extraordinary SX partner, I assure you. Ayame spoke with gentle smile, making Naruto relax again. Do you want to FCK me in the Naruto? She asked, grabbing his and beginning to lick it. I know I want your big inside my. Naruto shivered at her touch and words, letting her guide him towards the bed. She pushed him on it and then climbed on him, giving him a long kiss. Her velvety hands explored his skin, finally resting on his throbbing large auk. She raised herself slightly and guided the tip of his to her hot entrance, wiggling a little before slamming herself on his aching shaft hard. So hot and tight, Naruto groaned in surprise, feeling extreme pleasure at being enveloped by Ayame's burning. Now, fuck your Nichan. Ayame growled with unbridled lust, leaning her palms on his chest to support her torso above him. Naruto could swear he saw fire in her dark chocolate eyes. Thrust your big in my until you come in me. Go hardest and fastest you can, do you hear me? Naruto grunted in response, his instincts taking over. He cupped her buttocks with his hands and started to slam his with loud meaty slaps of their flesh meeting together. His hips were moving with tremendous speed, giving the woman on his great pleasure as she rode on it. Jiraiya's respect for Naruto increased as he watched the boy screw his girl for several hours non-stop, while she showed him various tricks and poses. For someone so young, she had a lot of experience. Ah, the youth nowadays, so corrupted. He giggled at that, knowing his dedicated works aided that corruption. He had to give it to Naruto, the kid sure was built to be a SX machine. He had godly stamina, was fast learner and he had that enlarging jutsu. It was a unique jutsu, because no one ever managed to increase there without risking their health. There were lots of nerves and veins in the there, also it was close to a person's chakra center. The only clan rumored to be able to enlarge there were the Akamichi, but Jiraiya gave it a thorough investigation and discovered it wasn't true. Yes, the Akamichi men could make their bodies bigger, but there was a limit to how small the enlargening could be. It was set too high, meaning their size became too great for any human female to bear. If their women increased their own size, it all came to being the same as when they were normally sized. So, for them it made no difference in the end. Naruto's technique was just right for any guy who had low self-esteem. He might market it for a hefty sum one of these days. He grinned, the kid was a real blast. He decided he had seen enough and shunned away, leaving the two lovers to their business. Me, UCK me hard Naruto-kun. Ayame yelled loudly, she was on her knees and elbows with her high up. Naruto was behind her, mounting her like a bitch. He was cramming his thick in her asshole, so hard that the bed was looking about to be broken. Sweat poured over their bodies as they strained and gyrated, grinding their C's together in the ancient dance that never got out of fashion. She moaned loudly, biting the pillow from pleasure of feeling his meat spread her insides wide, drilling down her asshole like a hot thick piledriver. She felt hard shivers pulse up her spinal cord, spreading numbing warmth in her belly as well. She was so excited by being FCK'd so lewdly by Naruto, an innocent boy who was so eager to satisfy her every demand. The dirtier part of her leered inside her, making her remember how she used to think of the blonde pounding her as her little brother. She returnally knew he wasn't her real brother, but just the tote gave her an extra turn on. Gods, he really could UCK like no guy she ever had. Oh yeah, just UCK me hard. Give it to your sweet big sis. She egged him on. Go harder, fill my insides with your wonderful sperm. She arched her back hard, responding to his faster pounding. She could feel her latest orgasm rise. She pushed back in him, giving him extra push, and then she gripped the sheets hard, screaming as the orgasm washed over her and Naruto's hot, burning semen filled her ass. She felt hers tremble and she dropped limp on the bed, with Naruto still in her. Ah, it was so good, Ayame-chan, Naruto whispered as they lay together, joined together. They were spooned now, enjoying the post-orgasmic warmth and joy. Their SX juices slowly leaked down Ayame's thighs, but she didn't mind. She just let him hug her from behind while making plans to keep Naruto for herself. He was just too good to be left for that crazy kunoichi. She felt a tinge of pleasure as her leaked his cum. He sure could shoot big loads of it. They had been screwing for hours and Naruto exceeded her every expectation. He was truly a stamina freak and he already had decently sized. His skills were not the best, but he was going to learn fast. She intended to make him her boyfriend now. There was no way she'd drop such a great potential. No way. Just the thought of having him again like tonight gave her warm tingles in her stomach. She could only imagine what will he be like in 4 to 5 years. Bigger, better, even longer lasting. It was just too good to be missed.